Joining us now is our friend Stephanie Ruhle, who is the host of the 11th Hour on MSNBC, NBC News senior business analyst. Steph, I've been wanting to ask you this since you brought it up last night. You were talking about how the markets and Wall Street and the financial world was reacting to the expectation that Republicans would be taking control of the government. Now that it looks like we are going to have a protracted period of uncertainty as to which party is taking control of Congress, what should we be watching for? What are you expecting along those lines?
If we end up, Rachel, with a divided government, sadly, this is what the markets like. This is what corporate America likes, not necessarily what the American people do, because it means that government is so busy arguing over here that they're not going to spend any time looking at corporates and regulating them and putting more rules on them, right? If mom and dad are fighting, the kids can easily go out and party. And the reason this is important is because it's a reminder, this brand that Republicans are really good for the economy or the market is the economy. That's totally not the case. And the president isn't wrong when he said they put in place all sorts of policies. And in the next year, we're talking infrastructure spending, the Inflation Reduction Act. You're going to start to see some of those things play out. So from the market perspective, they're like, well, we're going to see what happens. Clearly, if there would have been a red wave, why was corporate America excited? It's because Trump tax cuts expire in December, and they wanted to see those extended. We're most likely not going to see that be the case. But for the American people who want a functioning government, that's not really what the market's like.
Right. And the idea of what counts as a functioning government has changed so much over the course of our lifetimes in terms of what a governing coalition is. The idea of split government right now being able to do anything is something that, as you say, allows you to equate corporate irresponsibility with underage drinking, which I think was very subtle the way you did that, Steph. Yeah.
But it's exactly how it works. But it's also this reminder when Joe Biden just laid out all those economic accomplishments, Democrats can look at these midterms and say, we need to lean into this, right? This notion that Democrats, they're the party that are all about social issues, but Republicans, they're the ones if you care about the economy. That's not true, right? If we don't have a functioning society, we cannot have a functioning economy. And the reverse is true. So this is a moment where Democrats can lean in. It's not like, oh, well, the exit polls said inflation was the #1 issue. I guess people didn't care about it. They only cared about abortion. Both things can be cared about, and voters who care about the economy don't automatically vote for Republicans. Remember, Republicans didn't offer any policies.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. When it's the Democrats are doing the Inflation Reduction Act and the Republicans are like burning books, then you end up on a different valence there.
So one of the things, Stephanie, that I've been most fixated on is the upcoming debt ceiling and the fact that very clearly Republicans are making all these noises that what they're going to do is they're going to you hold it hostage like they did back in 2011 to get the cuts they want, maybe cuts to Social Security, Medicare. My read of the election results is the narrower Republican House margin is, the less likely they can credibly make that threat because they will have frontline members who don't want to do it. But what is your read about what the odds are for a big, nasty debt ceiling fight are given the results?
I think you're 100% spot on, right? What did we see? I talked to donors all day, sort of centrist donors on both sides, who are saying what these elections should have shown is let's get to a more practical place. And you are not going to see the far crazy super right play with the debt ceiling because that is not what corporate America likes. It's not what Wall Street likes. They're not going to want them to play that game. But the thing to really think about, Chris, everybody who's like inflation, I'm voting because I'm unhappy with the economy. I want every one of those voters to look today and say, what are they going to get different with inflation? Nothing. It doesn't matter who you voted for yesterday. There is no lawmaker, there is no president that controls the economy and controls inflation. It's a global issue. It's coming out of the pandemic. It's tied to the war. There is no one today that's going to walk in and say, we got inflation covered. You're all set. And voters should be aware of that.
Jen Psaki, talking about what's going to happen in